My dear friend, Jennifer Fondrevey, I am so excited that you decided to join me and show what the violinist behavior is like.
I'm excited to share it as well, particularly since I don't play violin, but I'm excited to know I have violinist behavior.
You do. And it's, actually, you have probably the most out of everyone that I've beta tested. You have strong behaviors in just about all of them, from optimism to ethical, kindness, graciousness, certainty, certain, and sincerity.
Wow.
I know,
I'm feeling that I should take this video and share it with my husband.
probably. So here's the thing. Today we're going to talk about certainty, which is the violinist, and what some of those essential traits are: realistic optimism, experimenting, good strategic judgment. How do you see yourself like that in the business world?
Well, I'm thankful for the foundation of advertising and marketing. That's where I grew up in my corporate career. Now I'm in mergers and acquisitions, but the really first 25 years was in advertising, communications, and marketing. And I believe that that contributed to my sensitivity to, consumers and other clients and being of service to them and helping them solve critical needs or even just wants. And I suspect, Paula, it's fascinating to hear that those were the things that popped through on the survey that you had me take. And I would attribute it to just where my grounding was in my corporate career and how that made me smarter, just about human engagement and connection and how to lead people, in a better, more, I don't know, human-centered way.
And I think that's great. It is, this survey does really look at your preferences and your tendencies. And it shows that not only are you grounded, but that's part of your value system, which is really amazing, right? And so I look at the violin.
Yeah.
When I look at the violin, I kind of look at the violin as something very unique. And, you have your chin down and just strumming those strings to create. And there's no judgment in it. You have to be very strategic in it. So, it has this.
Funny that you say that, Paula, because as I was hearing you talk about the characteristics for the violinist, I was thinking, every person I know who plays the violin, I admire them, and I thought, I could never do that. That takes so much skill and being in the flow and practice, practice, practice. And so I'm feeling quite proud that the violinist was what my character
Yeah.
survey shared, because I've always had admiration for violinists.
It is. It's one of those things, but isn't that what great leaders do? Isn't that what great leaders are supposed to practice, innovate, experiment, and really
Yeah,
have a realistic optimism about the future?
right, right, absolutely.
Hmm.
And I think, I hadn't made those correlations until taking the survey. And then when you told me, which characteristic was attributed to me, I thought, oh, I was flattered and it did, you're right. It made me think about how that applied to, your role as a leader.
And that's what the whole point of this is really to take some of the characteristics and behaviors and traits that we don't often think about in leadership and how to bring that towards the forefront. And that's
Right.
really what this is all about. I You speak, I've talked to you and I've been with you just about weekly. We come from a great group of people, and you talk about uncertainty all the time. Yet,
Right.
violinist is certain. So,
Yeah.
as your expertise and what you might want to share with that, how do you help somebody with uncertainty understand a way to become certain in those characteristics?
Well, I think, there's a couple of ways, and I think in just going back to the violinist and that analogy, and it's probably true for all musicians, but the flow state, right? Being in that flow moment and really being in tune with the music. Oftentimes what I'll say to whether it's executives or an entire workforce, right? You're trying to create that certainty again and get back into that flow state. So really appreciating what your value is.
Mhm.
What are you not only confident of and the skill set that you have, but how others perceive the value that you bring and how you contribute. Because oftentimes what you think your value is and how others see the value that you bring aren't always aligned. And so, the benefit of being 100% clear on your own value, but equally considering how others perceive the value that you can bring just makes you smarter on how to navigate that uncertainty and getting back into that flow state, yeah, if you will, right? Where you're just feeling confident in everything you do. Because ultimately that's really what we're trying to get at in our careers, is that flow state of feeling as though this is really taking every skill that I have and expertise that I have, and you're enjoying every moment of it and bringing people along with you, as you contribute.
Yeah, and you talk about that within your mergers and acquisitions and
Yeah,
how it affects people. Did you wanna share a little bit about that or
sure. I mean, it's the interesting thing, or maybe interesting is the wrong word. The destabilizing thing about mergers and acquisitions is that it can knock you down. It can
Mhm.
have you question your value, because now your future is uncertain. You may question where the company's going. You may feel you don't understand the vision. You may feel that, particularly if you've just been acquired by a new company, you're unclear on what the strategy is and how you can play a role in that. And so, getting into that flow state and feeling certain again really requires you to just get, and in fact, actually, what would probably help, Paula, is them taking your survey,
Yeah.
right? Being crystal clear on what are your attributes
Mhm.
beyond just, what your job definition is. What are truly your attributes that help you be great at your job? Because the clearer you are on that, then the better able you are to see the opportunities, to be able to look past an uncertain future, and frankly, even not be derailed by an uncertain future because you're clear on what your attributes are and how you can contribute.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess what I'm saying is, Paula, people need to take your survey if they're going a merger and acquisition, because
Thank you.
are, the clearer you are on your attributes, the more certain you will feel in uncertain times.
Right, and, it kinda goes along with that 3rd trait in there of experimenting. Sounds like you
Right.
experiment quite a bit. How do you know if that
Right.
if that
I try to.
experiment is worth taking the risk or not taking a risk?
I think experimentation, and if anything, these past several months have highlighted that the best laid plans, you can really think, okay, this is how my future is going to be, and I'm just going to pursue this plan and take these action steps. But nothing is certain. I think we've all now had that proven to
Yeah.
us. And so through constant experimentation and pivoting and being more agile in how you approach your career,
Mhm.
it will make you better prepared both emotionally as well as just mentally for the changes that are bound to happen. I'm hopeful we won't ever experience another pandemic, but I think we will experience constant change. That just is now the norm. And so constant experimentation helps you become more comfortable with change. And that really is invaluable as you pursue your career.
Right. No, that's excellent point. Thank you. So let me ask you this too. You know, you and I share a common hobby, or what I would probably say a common love in music and in creating a playlist. Have you started to create a playlist for your certainty behavior?
Well, I haven't created a playlist for certainty behavior, but I had a lot of fun creating a playlist for what I call the stages of grief, when
Mhm.
people are facing an uncertain future and not sure how to get from denial to acceptance. And I thought, when was the last time I felt some of these emotions?
Yeah.
Anger, the depression, the denial. And, I thought of prior bad breakups. Fortunately, I didn't have a ton of bad breakups, but I thought back on music and how that can help you get through what can, sometimes be, particularly when you're young and you're feeling like, oh, I'll never love again. And you're just trying to get to acceptance to move on. And
Right.
so music helped me in those moments. And I thought this could be a great salve, if you will, for people who just are experiencing emotions that they can't articulate. And songs sometimes can just bring to life a certain emotion or a feeling that you have. And I know that's how you and I, knew we were kindred spirits, because playlists are just one aspect of music, but can be a great resource to just help you move forward, right? Not
Right.
just your running mixtape, which is what I
Right.
used to have. It's my M&A playlist that I've had so many people respond to very positively, saying this really helped me in a time where I was starting to think I was going crazy. But yeah, music can help leaders in a multitude of ways, and
Right.
I love the fact that you're exploring how music helps leaders in every way possible.
Yeah, and that's it. If I were to, and I have created a certainty playlist, I would say two songs to start with are High Hopes, Wet Panic with the Disco, and of course, The Best Day of My Life by American authors. Those are really two great songs to add to start a playlist with.
One of the songs on my playlist that people laugh at the most, it comes from Monty Python's The Life of Brian.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's the crucifixion scene at the end. And he comes out with the song, Always Look on the Bright Side of Life. And I thought, and people have laughed, and it kind of actually diffuse the tension that can come, with the uncertainty of a merger and acquisition. And that song in particular, I've had the most reactions to, where people are like, that song is perfect for how you feel in the moment.
So I'm going to have to add that to the certainty playlist just for you.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. So if you could pick one of the three traits, realistic optimism, experiment, or strategic judgment to really dive in and grow, what would what would one be, or and why?
I think the one that has served me best is realistic optimism.
Yeah.
And I highlight this in my book as well. More than your degree, more than your job definition, your attitude is what will help you prevail. And I think realistic optimism is an aspect of that. It's being optimistic, but being practical and realistic, assessing
Yeah.
what's in front of you, but also recognizing that what's in front of you now can change. So you're realistic about that, but your attitude is one of hope and expectation, and really seeing the positive versus the negative. And that has served me so well throughout my career, and frankly through the three merger and acquisition deals that I experienced.
Mhm.
I know that being realistic and optimistic were the two things that helped me and my team. So it made me a better leader, for a team that was really feeling the brunt of a lot of changes.
Well, that's just beautiful and a great segue to my last question. What is your favorite song and why?
Well, you and I had this conversation. I said, this is really hard. How do you pick one song?
I know.
And so, but the song I picked was "I Want You to Want Me" by Cheap Trick.
Yeah. Great
And
group.
I think it's because it reminds me of my teenage years, right? I listened to Cheap Trick when I was a kid, and I just it takes me back to that period of time of being optimistic, right? Your whole future ahead of you.
Right.
And I think the words to this song, transcend just the, boy meets girl, I want you to want me. It's throughout our careers, right? You want to be wanted, you want to be valuable to your company, you want to be valuable to your team. And so it just is always stuck in my mind, and I've played it at trade shows that I've run.
I love that.
It's been walk-on music for me as a speaker,
Mm.
which usually people will laugh because I'm saying I want you to want me as a speaker. But and also it's not the most picked song. Most people like Cheap Trick, where'd that come from?
Right.
Recently we're inducted into the Hall of Fame. So
Fantastic. Come to Columbus. We'll drive up to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland and we'll go see it. Jennifer, thank you very much. And if people wanted to find you, where can they find you?
Well, I always encourage people to first reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm very active there, and it's a great way to keep up to speed on not only events where I might be speaking, but just articles that I've written, how I'm approaching uncertainty and helping people through it. And then my website, jenniferjfondrevey.com. Those would be really the two best places.
Great. Thanks, Jennifer. I appreciate you.